Yeah.
Okay, so the personal
continue.
development wheel is a wheel, and I'm going to ask you questions on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being outstanding, and 1 being not good at all.
Okay.
Obviously, 5 is the middle of the road, right?
Yep.
And there's no right or wrong, it's just where you are today. And then we'll circle the wagons down the road and find out where you are in the future.
Okay.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, energy for life, scale of 1 to 10, what's your energy for life?
I would say 9, definitely the 9.
Okay. Friendships, scale of 1 to 10.
10.
And personal achievement.
Whew. And way up there too, 9.
Okay.
Not a surprise, right?
Creativity.
8.
Breaking through barriers.
8. Yeah.
Communication.
You mean how I communicate with people, if I'm comfortable with that?
Just in general.
Just in general. I think I'm a very good communicator. So I would say that's an 8.
Balance.
Balance?
Balance.
Ha. 2. Shit. Oh, good.
Self-acceptance.
6.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, next. This is your leadership wheel. Same scale, 1 to 10. High energy relationships.
If I put a lot of energy in relationships, is that what I mean? What
Just
you?
in general, do you have high energy relationships? Do you put into high energy relationships? Do you admire high energy relationships? Do you participate in high energy relationships? Just in general, don't overthink it.
Well, okay, well, I don't quite, I'm not clear what it means. Do I have people in my life who eat up my energy, or do you mean?
No, not heat up. It wouldn't be eat up your energy. It would be, do you have people in your life that are high energy? Do you seek out high energy relationships? Do you feel better about high energy relationships?
Yes, yes,
so
yes.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
That's 9. Yeah, definitely.
Dynamic communication, scale of 1 to 10.
9.
Productivity.
I love productivity, so I would say definitely a 9.
Problem solving.
8.
Influencing and inspiring others.
I love doing that. It's probably a 10.
Health and wellness.
That's very high on my list. I would say 9.
Time management and balance.
Well, the balance is like a 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Time management.
Well, that could be improved, especially after looking at the projects here, the must-dos and whatever. I would say that's not I'm good at managing time, but I think I need more focus. So therefore, I will give this a 6.
Emotional intelligence.
9.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Very interesting.
I would like to hear your thoughts on all of that. So
Yeah, you will. You will in a little bit.
yeah, I hope
At,
so.
at the end of our discussion today. Okay, goal setting.
Goal setting. I
The
love
last
goals.
time, if my memory serves me right, we had a discussion, and that discussion centered around you answering some questions. And I have a sheet here, and I said, write down any thoughts that you might have. And you said, how do we continue with goal setting? Because you're goal oriented.
Yes.
And I said we would talk about that on May 4th. Today's May 4th. You also said, can we develop my elevator speech? And I said, we'll talk about that on May 4th. And you said you were thinking about reimagining or re-engineering. And do you remember what that was about?
My core message. I think there's something missing. Somehow I just get that feeling there's something missing. The push message. Let me turn the fan on. Pretty warm in here. Okay. I think it's awesome. It sticks with people, but for me, there's something missing.
Well, when you say there's something missing, let's talk about that real quick. And I'm going to make a couple of side notes. Are you suggesting or imagining or thinking that your core message is missing something, or your speech is missing something because it's not causing people to want to work with you, go to the next level with you? What is it you're looking to have happen? Because remember I said you have to understand the outcome that you're looking for. You have to back into this stuff. Mm-hmm. So for example, some people are looking to expand their fan base, to grow their email list, to get people to follow them. So if that's the goal of the outcome that you want, then there are certain steps you have to take to get people to take action, to follow you, or to be in your circle and so forth. If you want someone to hire you for becoming a keynote speaker, or to hire you as a breakout speaker at a conference, then you have to know that's what you're trying to accomplish when you deliver your talks. So you have to know what it is you're trying to accomplish what is it you want to, what's the main thing that you want to have occur at this stage in where you are today. So if you were to go forward 6 months and you're talking about this talk here, your signature talk, what is it you want to have accomplished? What do you want that talk to accomplish? If you're delivering it, what do you want the outcome to be at the end?
Well, if I already have a talk, that's different. I'm thinking even when I meet you somewhere and you say, what you're doing, what are you doing? I'm a public speaker, I would say. What's your message? I want this message to be clear, and I want you to want more, to hear more about my message. And therefore you, Mr. Event Planner, you are going to invite me to your big conference. I think I want that curiosity factor be more there. Okay, great, I get it, pushed, I persevere until success happens. But I want people to wonder what more is there. Why don't I invite her to hear more about that message and bring a call to action to my members of whatever club.
Okay, so get out of your mind club. You said club.
Yeah, a company.
Okay, so we got to get you in the mindset of getting out of clubs, of getting out of non-paid status, and get you into the mindset of payment, earnings, keynote. So when you're thinking that way, the question is, okay, you want to get paid for your as a public speaker or get paid as a professional speaker.
Yes.
So then what is the value that you're going to bring to the organization? Your message is part of the value, but it's not everything. So,
exactly.
So part of your message is to pique their curiosity and get them emotionally connected and wanting to know what is it they are going to want to know. So who are you speaking to and what is it they're going to want to know? And also, what is it that you're going to give them that they can change their life, that they have a problem that is similar to what you've gone through, or if they have a challenge, a life challenge, what are the steps that they can take that are proven that can get them from where they are to where they want to be? So you need to have a process, a how-to, 6 steps to get to this place, or 6 steps to persevere until success happens. You need a how-to in there because people don't care about your story as much as they care about what they want. So you have to explain to them what it is that they have to be able to see what they are trying to overcome in your message. And then they also have to know they can go do this if they have your how-to. And so what is your how-to? Is it going to be 6-step process to this? Is it going to be a how-to book, how to push until success happens or persevere until success happens? 6 steps or 8 steps to do this, that, or the other. So that's the kind of thinking that you got to have, and you got to start thinking about that plus your speech.
Exactly.
So what I would do is, in order to make something concrete, something deliverable aside from your talk, I would start going back in my mind and over my life and maybe come up with, and maybe you already have them, maybe 3 major points or things that you were challenged with and overcame, and how you actually persevered. What was the emotional tricks that you used? Did you use? Were you anchored in faith? Were you anchored in other people, mentors, coaches? What did you anchor yourself in, and how did you get through all of these challenges that you had to go through? Mentally, spiritually, physically, what actions did you take? And that stuff is your roadmap to success, what I call your roadmap to success, based on what you're talking about. Because without a roadmap, something to hand people, then you're not going to sell anything.
Right, exactly.
So you got to become a developer and a producer of content, not just the talk. You know how they say talk is cheap. That gets you started, but if you don't have a deliverable, then you can't sell it. You don't have any value to give to the marketplace.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I remember I have it in my Google Drive, something you gave us as Toastmasters, like 6 steps to,
To get started.
I don't know what it was.
Was it 6 steps to get started?
So we are talking about this kind of thing, right?
Yeah, and
because I still have it, and I see it once in a while.
Yeah, and it goes deeper than that. So we'll talk about that. But right now, I just want you to start thinking in terms of deliverable, tangible deliverables, whether you print the document out or whether it's a digital format. You got to have something. So let me give you an example. I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
As soon as, let me find what I'm looking for first. All right, so I'm going to show you a couple of different things real quick, just to kind of get you thinking. Okay, so I've got to share the screen, and then I'm going to show you some tangibles. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So for example, we're going to be doing a webinar in June, and I'm going to have a couple of guest speakers on as well. And the overall topic is success. And my guess is that they're going to share some of their tips and pointers on how they became successful and some of the things that they did. And they're just coming on as guests. So I'm the host, and I'm going to talk about the blueprint for success, which is the main product that I deliver. And it's also the main product that I coach through. Okay. So as you see this here, this guide to discovering your path to success, you see this blueprint?
Yep.
Okay. So that's the cover of the document. So when we're talking about you putting together a document, it could be a PDF, it could be a PowerPoint presentation, it could be a lot of different things, but you want something concrete that relates to what you do and how you use it to get people to the next stage or to get through something or overcome a challenge based on what it is you talk about. So in this case, this is my basic process. Now there's something on the front end and something on the back end. So the front end of this is we deal with our gremlins first, right?
Yep.
And then the secret sauce is in the middle. And so there's a step there, and then there's these other 5 steps, and then the 6th step is in the middle. Okay.
Right.
So that's the blueprint. So this entire document starts out with talking about everything starts with purpose. So there's an explanation as to what that means. Then we talk about the goal. Then we talk about the process itself, step 1. And then we go into all these different things. And this document is a fill in the blank document as well. So so it walks them through the process. Okay. And then it gives details. So it's not just, oh, well, do this, do this. It literally walks you through what you've got to pay attention to, okay, in detail. And every step is laid out in detail, including what you're talking about. I'm going to be talking about with you, the action plan. Okay. So each step has its details. You got the massive action template, right? So this is the kind of stuff that you have to have in order to say, I've got something tangible with me. And if you sign up for my program, I'll work with you and I'll teach you how to X, Y, and Z. Okay.
Yep.
And
Totally
to spend time with me, my fee is X. Okay. So this is another one. This is just a tip sheet.
I think this is the one. Yeah,
right.
I have to.
So you come up with tip sheets. You come up with a guidebook. It doesn't have to be 50,000 pages. It could be 25 pages, 18 pages, but you have to have something that you can anchor your roadmap in, or your process of how you did what you did to get through the challenges that you overcame, so that people can see you talking about it, get emotionally connected, and then also have something that they can walk through. Okay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And I think that's what I mean by missing. There's something missing, and obviously my message is good. However, and the why the why is important, and what I can give to them, they need to ask, like Eddinghausen, the Wiffen, what's in it for me thing. But that's even, I am still one step in before that, my elevator statement. So I can give that to you. I meet you somewhere, and bam, I have it.
Yeah. And so
that is even before this, what you just said.
That's where your clarity of purpose comes from. Okay. So let's do an exercise. I want you to because that's part of your elevator pitch comes from your vision and your mission.
Mhm.
Okay, you've heard that before, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so what is it you see when you look out into the future and you see the future you? What is it you see that you're giving to the world? What is it you're giving? Take your time.
Okay, what do I give to the world? What? So in the future, like a year, two down the road, right?
No, 6 months from now, 3 months from
6
now.
months from now. Oh,
What do you
okay.
see yourself giving to the world? Because it's not going to change. This
No,
is where we
no,
get,
yeah,
this is how we have to really understand what it is what it is we want to deliver to the world and why is it so important to us. And you talked
yeah.
about why
But
with me. Do you remember what your
yes,
why was?
absolutely, I remember that because I feel I got a second chance, the gift of a second chance, where I truly should have died.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to me to make a difference, to affect a change in people's lives, to kind of, just between you and me, to wake them up to,
Okay.
hello, our time
Right.
is limited here.
So that needs to come out of that needs to roll into your vision. Life is so short. I
Yes,
received a second chance, and
yes,
therefore I want to share with the world how to persevere and overcome the challenges that life may throw at you. So my life is
yes.
dedicated to doing
Mm,
this through the spoken word. And what else? What else do you want to do? The spoken word is your speaking. What else do you want to do? Do you want to coach? Do you want to counsel? What do you want to do?
Eventually, I see myself coaching.
Okay.
Eventually, right now, I wouldn't be that comfortable with it. I just want
Why
to
not?
speak
Why not?
because I don't think I'm ready.
Why not? You've got 35, 40 years of experience already of jumping through hoops and challenges and modifying your life.
Backwards,
And
jumping through hoops.
yeah,
Yep.
jumping through hoops and modifying your life and overcoming all kinds of challenges.
I
So
feel comfortable with speaking because I've been speaking since 1994.
but I want you to be uncomfortable. We
Yeah.
don't change.
And
We don't change in our comfort
right,
zone.
right, right. I would love to coach, and I think I could be a very inspirational coach because I don't talk about something strange, or unknown to me. I talk to what happened to me, and in a lot of ways can happen to other people, just in different forms.
Mhm.
That suddenly the life is just coming into a stop the way we know it, and here we are. We don't know what to do,
Mhm.
and we need to reimagine, and we need to have courage and draw on our spirituality and persevere when we don't even know how we get to the end of the day. That kind of stuff. That this can happen to 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 everybody, just in different forms. It doesn't need to be a disability, doesn't need to be a stroke while you're driving your car. People can have these life-altering moments. Yeah.
You just delivered a nice talk about what it is. You
I
just, you
really
just,
did.
you just did it. You just let yourself free and you started talking about what you care about. And that's what
Yeah.
people want to hear. They don't want to hear a perfect speech.
No,
They
no.
want to hear what you just said, that
Mhm.
life is short. I had a second chance, and I
Yes,
want to share how I overcame challenges because at any given moment,
yes,
anything can happen to anybody. None of
yeah,
us are protected from life.
but
And so the unexpected can happen at any moment. And what
yeah,
happens when your life changes immediately? Could be a
yeah,
car accident, could be
yes,
a construction accident, could be
yeah,
a lot of different things, hundreds of things. You could be on a trip and
Yep.
you're with your spouse or your other half, your boyfriend, girlfriend, and they fall off the rail of the ship because they drank too much. This is real life stuff that has happened.
Yep. Mhm.
And overnight, your
Yep.
life is turned upside down.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you have the skills, knowledge, ability, and story, and the how-to. And what you've got to do now is put it into a format that people
Right.
can use.
Yeah.
Does that
I
make
love that.
sense?
Absolutely, 100%.
All right. So you just did a big piece of that. When you get this
Yeah.
recording, you play this
Yeah.
recording back because you just did a big piece of that. And in
Yeah.
that recording is your vision. You didn't realize
Exactly.
it. Your vision is in there. Your mission is in there. You just have to put it in words that sound like you want them to sound.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And once you put those in place, the vision, your life's mission, and your why, now you already have your elevator talk, because your
Right.
elevator talk is just a couple minutes and you just did it.
Exactly.
So if you jump
Yeah.
inside an elevator and someone introduces themselves and they find out, let's just say you're at a conference and they start talking to you and they find out, you're an emerging speaker, and they ask you, well, what's your mission or your vision, or what do you speak on? You just have a conversation like you did with me just now.
Right.
You know?
And what came out is my passion. That's why I didn't even struggle for words. It just came
Exactly.
to me because I'm so passionate about it. Because I
Exactly.
remember the last thing I knew before I passed out, I saw the hood of my car and I thought, oh shit. And we were heading towards the rail, the guardrail in Taos, New Mexico, in the mountains. And I thought, oh shit, this is it.
Yeah.
And then I woke up in the hospital and I thought, what's my son doing here? What? Oh my gosh. And I thought I really would die. I just, even at the neuro intensive care unit, I really thought I would die.
Mhm.
And I apologized to my son. Oh, well, I could have been better mother. I don't know, that kind of stuff. I wish I would have done this. I would have wish. I thought I'm dying.
Yeah.
And then
So
that's really an experience. That's,
So part of what you're saying there is you had a moment there where you had this flash of regrets that you were facing
right.
because you didn't know. And none of us want to have those kind of regrets.
No.
And that's another piece to what you can add. Even when you're speaking, you let people know that they do not want to find themselves in a room full of regrets, knowing or thinking that they may be in their last hours or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
this is very, very powerful, and you have the information. So what you've got to do now is listen to this recording,
Yeah.
and write it out. Write out your vision.
Absolutely.
Write out your mission. Write out your why, which is because you had a
Yep.
second chance. And I'm in the same boat with you. I had a second chance, and that wasn't even the final wake-up call for me. I have a speech called the wake-up call. The final wake-up call for me was losing my job at over age 50. So we don't even know which wake-up call is going to get our attention. You would think the near death would get your attention. And in my case, it did, but it wasn't the total wake-up call. It was a combination of two wake-up calls. So I would say that you have it. You just need to write it out, and we can play with we can wordsmith it and play with it until it rings in your heart. Okay.
Exactly.
All right,
I really love that because I thought, while I was talking really passionately, I thought that just kind of fleeting thought, oh, this sounds good. Where did this come from?
Yeah. And that's how it is. You have to let it out. You have to
Yeah.
really be allowed to let it out,
Right.
Does that help?
Absolutely.
Okay,
This
so
is
you really
totally
do have,
worth it.
okay, so you really do have your elevator speech. So I think this video recording will help you with that.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the goal setting, back to, we tackled the elevator speech, at least a good portion of it. We tackled the re-engineering your core message a little bit, because what's missing, I believe, and I think you believe it yourself, is what happens after the talk? What do I have to share? What do I give them? What tangible document or thing can I say, come along with me and let me show you how to work through this guidebook, or come along with me and let me hold your hand and walk with me
Right.
through this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. And then you're goal oriented, you said, so let's tackle that monster, right? You ready to tackle that?
You bet.
Okay. So you have the massive action plan. I'm going to share my screen with you again.
But and I have it here on my other computer.
Let me see.
Oops, did it freeze? Uh-oh. Hmm. Hmm.
Is it not coming up?
Yeah. But my computer here, my PC, I talk to you on a Mac, but the PC, typical PC, froze. Oh, whoa. I put it into Google Drive in your folder, and for some reason it froze. Okay, I'll look at your screen.
Okay, can you see it okay?
Yep, can you make it like big?
Oh, sure. Hold on.
Yeah, there. Mm-hmm.
Is that better?
Better, definitely.
Okay, so my massive action plan. So the first key there is my. Everyone has, let's not say everyone, lots of people have action plans, right?
Yep.
What happens? I mean, you might even have an action plan in the past. Have you ever had an action plan?
Not concretely. I knew I wanted to go through college. I knew I wanted to be social worker, psychologist, and help people and whatever I have to do to get there. So it
Mhm.
wasn't really spelled out step by step.
Okay. Well, the reason that it's titled My Massive Action Plan. Now, you'll notice Tony Robbins uses the term massive action plan, right?
Yeah, he takes massive action. Yes.
Right. But what he doesn't say, where I go a step further, is there's a certain amount. Let's just say if you have an action plan, it could be all pretty and complicated and wonderful, and it never, ever, ever gets looked at.
Mm-hmm.
And too often people have plans, the best laid plans, but they don't take any action, right?
Mm-hmm. True.
The reason they don't take action more times than not is because they're not emotionally connected to the plan.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not emotionally connected, you're not going to take action on it. And or if you're not emotionally connected to your plan and it gets too tough, you quit.
Yep.
So you have to be emotionally connected. It's like the person who gets a free webinar versus the person who gets a paid webinar.
Yeah.
Well, if the free webinar is something I don't have any skin in the game, if something better comes up or I forget, no
Mm-hmm.
big deal. But if I paid for it, well, now I got some skin in the game.
Yep.
I'm probably going to show up. If it's $49, I might, go with the better deal for that day. But if it's 99 or 199, I'm
Yep.
probably gonna show up, right?
I would.
So you got to have some skin in the game. So if you don't have
Mm-hmm.
any emotion in the game, the plan is just a piece of paper or it's
Yeah.
on a whiteboard. It means nothing.
Yeah.
So that's why we call it my massive action plan, to signify that this is not somebody else's plan. You have to be emotionally tied to it.
Mm-hmm.
What it does is it outlines your top 3 projects or objectives or goals. And you can type that in there. You can change it. If you don't want to have projects, you could put goals in there. See how easy that is?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. What matters is what's comfortable for you.
Yep.
And these are the things that you must do to move each project or each goal forward. And it could be by week, or it could be, some people like to go a month,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and check back on it. whatever you want to do. The reason I started out with weeks, because I used to check in with myself every Friday and see what I accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But when you get accustomed to using this, you could literally go a month and look back over the 4
Mm-hmm.
weeks and see what changed and what did you miss and so forth. So here's the top 3 projects or the top 3 goals. And each of these, for example, is a place where you fill in the blanks. So let's say you want to write a book.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just type in book. You could put in the title of the book if you know the title. You could put in a temporary title. But what's the first thing you need to know about writing a book? Well, you've got to come up with your what? You've got to write a manuscript, right?
Yeah, true.
So you put down manuscript.
Manuscript. Yep.
Simple as that. You can do it in Word, because you can take any Word document now and turn it into a manuscript. It's that simple.
Yes,
okay.
definitely.
What else do you need? Well, once I actually have the manuscript written, I got to find an editor.
Yep.
Right. Well, what about after I find somebody to edit and make sure the writing is good and it makes sense? Well, now you need a copywriter.
Yep.
Right. So you just put that in there. Whatever you brainstorm on and think you need, you just write it in there. Well, you're also going to need somebody to design a cover, right? Maybe you want to find someone who designs a cover at the same time you're finding a copywriter. Okay. Maybe not necessarily you have to, but maybe you want to find a couple endorsements. You want somebody to endorse your book. Maybe you know a celebrity, maybe you know somebody who works with the topic that you're presenting.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be, something to give you more credibility on your book. So you go through the process of what is it? So what does this cause you to have to do? If book is something you want to do, then you need to research, how do you get a book done? Okay. Well, the world is at your fingertips with the internet.
Yeah.
So you go in there and you type in, how do I write a book? What's the process of using a self-publishing book or a hybrid? And what's the difference between a hybrid publisher and a full publisher versus self-publishing? Well, I can tell you that you probably these days you want to do hybrid. That way you're having the best of both worlds. So you have a professional who's working with you as well, but you also did the manuscript and did some of the things yourself, and you can have a separate designer come in and do the design. You can get the book cover design on Fiverr. So now you got to research.
Wait, on what? On what?
Fiverr.
Fiverr?
Yeah. So check this out. I'm sharing my screen with you. So I'm going to go over here to Google, and I'm going to say that I want to find somebody to help me with my book. See this here, Fiverr?
Fiverr, yeah.
Okay. So we go here and we say, I want a book. Okay. So you can find somebody who does book and ebook marketing, illustrations. So these people are independent people who do this stuff. This lady does a cinematic book trailer. She'll do a trailer. This person does book design. See here, book design.
Yeah.
Ebook design. So this is a place where people are out there selling their talents, and you just say, oh, I want, here's what I want. I want a book design. And now these people design books for you.
Cool. Wow.
Okay. So so it's Fiverr. I'll send it to you, but it's
right.
But you can go there, you can find an editor, you can find a publisher, you can find somebody to do an ebook for you. You just send them the content. So see up here where it says book cover, book writer,
Oh.
book design, book promotion, book editor. If you want a book editor, you go there and you go, okay, let me look at the book editors. Then you read and look at their work. You just click on it. Okay, this is the editor. So you click on her and she'll show you its ranges start at $5. And so you can read up on her. You'll see some of them have their portfolios down there. You can contact her and ask her any questions you want to ask her. Okay. So the pricing, sometimes the pricing, here's the standard pricing. So for 5,000 words to edit, it costs $40 or $40. To edit 10,000 words, it'll cost $65. And if it's higher than 10,000, then they typically either they'll tell you they don't do it, that large a book, or they'll charge you more than the 65. Okay. So that's so that's the research. You go and you find who it is you want to do copy, who it is you want to do design. Do I want an endorsement from anybody? So you just brainstorm and put as many steps down that you can think of that you've got to do. And then you do that with number 2. Say you want to do a podcast. You say, okay, I'm going to do podcast. Okay, that's going to help me draw people to me, get me known. So you go, okay, well, what do I don't know where to start. Well, guess what? You go, again, you go to the internet. Okay. And all you do is type in, you go to YouTube. And guess what? Once you get to YouTube, if it comes up, I don't know why it's taking so long. And you type in how to start a podcast.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
And everybody's going to tell you how to start a podcast. And podcasting for beginners. So this is the research. And then you get to the point where you say, what's the, you ask questions based on some of what the people are talking about. What equipment do I need to start a podcast? Blah, blah, blah. Where can I get training in podcasting before I get started so I sound professional, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it's all right there on the internet.
For sure, yeah.
And then you decide who you want to work with to get to help train you or, whatever it is. So it just depends. So, okay. And then, so all the steps will be laid out. You boom, 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 boom. And so that's how this document is used. Does that make sense?
Yep, totally.
Okay. So, but you don't want to tackle more than 3 projects, 3 goals at a time.
Right.
Okay. And the reason for that is focus. It takes a lot of focus to really be diligently going after closing or achieving 3 major goals. Because this isn't small stuff.
No.
Okay. How do we set the goal? How do we imagine what we want to do first, second, and third? We'll talk about that. Okay. So then you get down here and you go, okay, those are my absolutely top priorities. In this section, it's main thing 1, 2, and 3, which correlates to your projects, right? Or your goals. Now you're sitting there and go, okay, why do plans not turn into concrete actions and get taken care of? Because people don't dedicate the time, consciously dedicate the time to it. So here you're going to go, okay, I'm working on my book. I'm going to dedicate 2 hours on Mondays and 2 hours on Thursdays. So you're going to put 2 hours. That's it. That's all you're going to say. Because it means on Monday for 2 hours, you're going to be working up here on your book. And then you're going to leave that alone. You're going to come back and you're going to work on it again on Thursday. So now it becomes part of your action calendar. So you actually, whatever calendar you have should reflect your time being taken off your calendar so that you can actually work on this.
Exactly.
So 4 hours a week is going to go to that. Maybe 5 hours a week will go to the next thing and so forth and so on. But it depends on what you want the highest priority to be on. Is it book, is it podcast, or is it something else? So that's what you have to figure out. And that can this here Monday through Friday correlates to everything else you got going on too. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you have to look at your calendar, look at your life and go, these are my top 3 priorities. I've got to get time on these first, and then I got to work around my other schedule. So on Monday, how you get specific, you work out every Monday?
Hold on. Monday is running, Tuesday and Wednesday is cycling, indoor cycling, rest Thursday, work out again on Friday, running there.
Okay. So what you can do is you can put down your specific time. So if you're running in the morning, you might want to not do this till like 10 a.m.
Exactly.
Or whatever time it is. So you get very specific. The more specific you get, the more dedicated you are to getting it worked on and done. You've got to create the habit.
Totally. Yeah.
Because if you don't create the discipline, you won't stay focused and get it done.
Excellent.
Okay. So now, you know, by looking at this, you already know I work out at 7 in the morning or whatever time.
Yeah.
By 10 a.m., you got to be started because it takes you to lunchtime.
Yep.
And it could be the same. And for routine purposes, it's always easier if you're going to work on this and work on it again Thursday, it's easier to work on it at the same time.
Same time. Yes. I totally agree.
For consistency purposes. Okay, so that's how you use that. So you got your projects or your goals up here. You've got your time dedicated to it that you're committing, because this is commitment.
Yep.
And then down here, okay, so we can bring this back up because it expands when you add to it. So you do have to go down and look. Okay, so now you're down here and you're going, okay, whenever you are doing something wonderful, fantastic, out of the norm, bigger than you're going to have other people involved.
Yeah.
Because none of this happens by ourselves, right? So you can handwrite this out or you can type it in, but at some point you're going to need other people. So who are the key people that you need to reach out to?
Right.
So if you're working on a book and you know somebody who's already published a book and you're getting pointers from them, you might want to put their name down. If it's a company, you might want to put the company down, because you may be waiting to hear back from somebody about speaking.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, I just did it by text yesterday, and they were so busy. They're like, oh, we're so sorry, blah, blah, blah. And they moved very quickly. And last night, I committed to an event in June. So this is where that would go. If you're waiting, if you have to reach out to somebody, and you can expand this, but that's where you want to document who it is that you're reaching out to or need to reach out to. And you put this DD means drop dead date. That means the day you absolutely have to reach out to them by. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do have a question, but it's more about, can you scroll up to the here? I do very, very good with schedules. I'm extremely disciplined person, but how do you, Randy, handle when things come up? Let's say I'm supposed on 10 a.m. to work on refining my elevator speech, and bam, suddenly something happens over here.
Now, what do you
how
mean?
do you do this? Well, unforeseen things, which are important.
Oh, okay. Well, if it's an unforeseen thing and it's highly important, you got to take care of it. So what you do then, it depends. Some things unforeseen might take 30 minutes. Right? So if you got a 2-hour block, you've only lost 30 minutes. It just depends on what it is. I mean, if it's a family emergency, you got to get up and leave town. That's a whole different story.
Right. Yeah, true. Yeah.
But the idea is to create the discipline to know that if you have an unforeseen thing, you still got to get back to this.
Yeah, let's say family emergency, whatever. So this wouldn't work. But it's like running. If I, for some reason, I really can't run, there's just some someplace I have to be, I have to make that up at a different day. Is that how
Right.
you handle this also?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You have to shift. There's times when you will have to shift. What you can't do is create a second habit of always shifting.
No, no,
Because what happens is people will say, well, this came up, well, that came up, well, this came up, and now you're just
no,
making excuses.
no,
So
no,
you have to
no.
decide for yourself if it's a family emergency,
Mm-hmm.
that has priority, obviously.
Yeah.
If it's a doctor's appointment and they had to reschedule me, then they need to reschedule around my calendar.
Mm-hmm.
You see,
Right.
I don't reschedule around a physician's calendar or something like that. They have
Right.
just as much time as I have.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
so I may say if they can't see me on my day, then I may say, okay, well, we need to push that off to another time where this slot is open.
Yeah, exactly.
First available appointment when this slot is open, because from 10 to 12 on Monday, I'm busy.
Mm-hmm. Right, right.
Because if you don't create the discipline, then you're always going to be shaken up by everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
thing as saying no. So for
Right.
me, if we have a family emergency or my wife has something that's got to be done
Yeah.
either with her business or something, then I will not be writing my book at this time, but I may come back at 6 o'clock tonight and spend 2 hours on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But when you're first starting out, it's extremely important to create the discipline.
Absolutely, I do agree. It's like with running, I taught myself do not negotiate with myself on
Yeah.
this. It is what it is.
Yeah. And it's
Just
easy.
run.
It's
Yeah.
really easy, like anything. I mean, we've all done it. It's not that we're ever going to be perfect at it, because
But
we've all done it. We've all had a bowl of ice cream when we know
mhm,
we should probably not. We've all,
for
I
sure.
mean, these things happen. We were going to have a healthy lunch, and my wife's schedule today didn't allow it. So I ran out and got fast food,
Yeah. Mhm.
So it does happen, but you can't let it rule your life.
No, no, I totally agree.
So
I was
it's just,
just curious how you handle it,
yeah,
these kind of
yeah.
things.
Well, and it depends on the person too, because again, if it's a person that has kids,
Mm,
their lifestyle, they got to manage this around their lifestyle.
right,
Our
right.
kids are grown and gone.
Exactly.
So if something in the daytime happens and I got to go help my wife with her business or something,
Mm-hmm.
I have the flexibility coming back and getting on it in the evening.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I have no distractions like kids running around
Yeah,
or
no.
lots of people in the household or anything
No.
like that.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how I handle it. So this is key people I have to reach out to that I need help from. Now, you're going to reach out to some people from time to time,
Mm-hmm.
and they can't get to you right away. They say,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'll be back in touch with you, or yes, I'd love to help you, but blah, blah, blah. So you're going to be waiting on them, but they're critical
Yeah.
to your project or
Mm-hmm.
your goal. They're critical, you need them. And so you're waiting on them, but you don't want to wait forever.
Mm-hmm.
So there comes a point where once in a while, you're going to have to decide whether or not that person can be replaced by somebody else
Mm-hmm.
to get the help you need to move on.
Yeah.
So for example, I'll give you a live example. My second book the manuscript has been done for a while,
Mm-hmm.
for like, I don't know, 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't published the book because even though I have several endorsements and several key endorsements, I'm waiting and hoping, and I'm still having hope out there, that there are some key celebrity endorsements that we're trying to get.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've got a couple, but I was hoping for like 5. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to have any, or I could have 5, or I could have 3. It doesn't matter. But the point is, I'm waiting on them. And at one point, I thought they were critical to my project, but they're not really critical now.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had no other choice and I had to do a book launch, next month or 2 months from now,
Yep.
I could do the book launch. But I'm in no rush because I'm growing my other parts of my business. But if it was critical for you to get your book published so you can get out there and launch it and get known,
Mm-hmm.
then you might have an important decision to make and change that thought process.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I like the DD drop dead date.
Right. Well, the drop dead, the reason I like, and I should spell it out, the drop dead
Yeah.
date, the drop dead date, I use that in the corporate world because people were, if you say due date, people didn't take that to heart. You know?
No, they really don't.
So I said, okay, what's the absolute drop dead date? I mean, we've got to have this done and you need to have it done by X date. And for some reason, that's stuck in their mind.
Yeah.
That this is the absolute drop dead date. If it's not done, that we got an issue.
Yeah.
So down to the bottom here, and again, this expands when you're typing, so you have to kind of adjust it from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
I keep mine on my desktop in a folder so that I can get to it real quickly and review it. And here is your personal progress notes. And all you're really doing is listing any roadblocks that you're experiencing. Because if you're listing roadblocks, there's a lot of things that can happen. If the roadblocks, first of all, may not even be true roadblocks. That if you brainstorm around them, you may find that there's something real simple that you can do to take care of it. The other thing is, if you're calling it a roadblock and it really is a roadblock, then it's going to be something that requires us to pay attention to and to take action on. Okay. And you remember Diane Piella, in her talk, she used to call it the speed bumps of life.
Yeah, I remember that.
So a roadblock, a speed bump, she used to talk about, you have to adjust and go over it carefully and blah, blah, blah.
Totally. Yeah.
So the point is, any roadblock, I think about it, a roadblock like I do the ant philosophy. Have you ever heard of the ant philosophy?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a way to go over it, under it, around it.
Yeah.
You just got to put time thinking about it. They say there's 10 solutions for every problem. I don't like the word problem, so I say 10 solutions for every opportunity.
Yeah. You taught me that in our first session.
Yeah, OFI, opportunity for improvement. So that's it. 2-page quick massive action plan. Doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be time-bound, emotionally connected to what you're trying to accomplish. No more than 3 projects or goals at one time. Call the verbiage, whatever you want, customize it for yourself, focus it and make sure it's tied to your daily life, your weekly life, your calendar, and pay attention to it every week. So I would start off paying attention to it every week. And since we're going to be meeting on Fridays, I'll call it to your attention on Fridays. And then when you get it in your mindset and it becomes natural to you, then you can shift to once a month and check on it.
Right.
And see how you're doing. Okay?
Yeah.
So that you got it?
Yeah. Now, just hypothetically, when I fill that out, project 1, it says book, which is not my first project. It's my last project.
Right.
Oh, what you know about me now, what is my first project? I mean, in my mind is finishing the elevator speech till I see you.
Well, put it in there.
Okay.
What's your second project?
Think about what you said about really having something to hand to people, either physically or digitally, so they want to know more how step on how to.
You create
a how-to tips, whatever. Yeah.
You create a how-to guide. Okay, so you said the first one, and I can send you this if you want, but the first project is what?
Finish the elevator speech.
Complete your elevator speech.
Yeah, because I have it. It just needs to, I need to re-listen and type it over here.
Right, so I'm just gonna put in the titles. You can put in the details. So let's get rid of the details here.
Right, yeah.
And I'll send you this copy.
That would be
Okay.
awesome.
So complete the elevator speech, create a how-to guide, and the how-to guide could be how to, and then you name it. What's the third one?
The third one is a big one. Once I have all that, then I need, with your help, to learn how to find the people who are willing to pay the $2,500, $3,000 per speech. That's how to find, because
Called lead
that's a
generation.
big one.
It's called lead generation.
Generation. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
So there you
Those
go.
would be the biggest for me at this point. The book is important for me, but this is really all the steps I have to take first.
Okay.
Yeah, goodness.
So I'm going to save this on my desktop. I'll email it to you when we're done.
Excellent. Goodness, Randy.
You good?
I'm really good. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're gonna pick up next week, right where we
Next
are.
week, hold on the 14th
Next,
at 11, right?
yep, next Friday. I will send you a whole new set of Zoom, so we're on the same schedule. A new calendar for Zoom.
Right.
So okay, I'll do that. Yeah. I'll do that one. I'll do that right away when we get off. Let me hold on. Let me check my schedule. Okay, I don't have another one right away. Phew. Okay. So I'll send you the new schedule for Zoom.
Yeah.
Right away. I will send you the copy of this massive action plan. And your homework is going to be to start filling it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then when we get back together next week, we're going to make sure it's applicable in its entirety. Right. And then we're going to brainstorm on how to get through those steps.
Yeah.
All right.
The steps with the projects here, like what we just project 1, 2, 3. Okay. But my goal is when I see you next, I want your thoughts on what I think how my elevator speech is going to be.
Yeah, we'll do that too.
Yeah.
That's easy squeezy.
Not for me, because it's like
no, you already got it. You already talked to it.
I know.
It's already in the recording.
I said it's so beautiful.
You already got it. You got to quit doubting yourself. We're going to get to the whole belief thing in a little while, but we're working through this process, right? We already talked about the gremlins, right?
Yeah, definitely.
We talked about the one big gremlin. We don't have to mention it right now, but we talked about the one big gremlin. What is step 2? Discovering your purpose, right? Yep. You believe you know your purpose, but you've got to be able to articulate it. You've got to be able to have a conversation about it. And you've got to be able to share your story about why this is your purpose and why you exist right now. And once you get that internalized, as we're working, the next step is the action plan. So we're working around the clock here on this thing, and we're going to come around that clock several times. And the reason we're going to come around that process several times is because it doesn't happen with home runs. Little base hits.
Yeah.
Base hits. Okay.
Sounds
and by the time you walk around that many times, it'll just come automatic to you.
One more question. When we did the wheels earlier, you said you would tell me what your thoughts are on the wheels.
Yeah, I will. Absolutely. What's interesting about your leadership wheel and your personal development wheel, there's one section, you're pretty high and you're pretty well-rounded, except in one half of your wheel, it's not even a half, it's 1/4 of your wheel, you take a huge dip. And when you look at self-acceptance, you were a 6, and balance, you were a 2. And I'm assuming that you, when you thought about balance, you thought about balance in your life.
Right, yeah.
And you were very low. You were exactly the same when we talked about time management and balance. On the balance side, you were right there. So a change after going through all those different wheels, nothing changed when it came to balance. So you concretely feel as though you don't have balance in your life.
No, I really don't.
So we've got to drill down and make sure that we bring that up and find out why. So that'll be a separate area for discovery.
Okay.
The other thing is, you said you manage time pretty well, but not that well, sort of, kind of, and you came in at about a 6, you said. And that's not bad or good. There's no right or wrong. It's just where you are right now. But guess what? We talked a little bit about time management, and we don't really manage time. None of us do. It's a caveat. We call it time management. But what we really do is we have to figure out, because we all have the same amount of time.
Yeah.
How do we maximize the time that we have?
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about your action plan, you're talking about discovery of ways to maximize your time so that you actually achieve the goals that you're trying to achieve.
Totally get it.
And you want to achieve.
Yeah.
So it's all about maximizing the time I have. If you spend 2 hours concentrating and really making a lot of progress, then that's great time management.
Yeah, I think so.
But if you spend 2 hours and you're not really doing much, well, that's not maximizing your time.
Nope.
Right. So you always want to think in terms of, am I getting the maximum amount of time out of this hour?
Yeah. And I think here this project planning was a time slot that will help me a lot. The reason why I gave that even a 6 was because I'm very punctual and I'm very disciplined.
And
then
the self-acceptance is an area where we're gonna work on, because you are feeling low in that area, and if you're high in all those other areas, there's no reason why you can't accept where you are and realize that you're a gift. You're 1 in 400 quadrillion chance of being here, and in your case, with all the challenges, probably even more. You're already a miracle, right? So what you got to do is realize it and act like it. And you do on the outside. You do on the outside to someone who doesn't know you. Now we got to get you to really blossom and do it from the inside out.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah.
Because you want to be who you are all the time.
Yeah.
And that means the inside and the outside have to be in congruence with each other.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Great.
All right. There you have it.
We made great progress. So I'm looking for your email with the attachment of this link, because
and the Zoom links. And the Zoom link.
And the Zoom link, the new Zoom link, and the new schedule. Excellent.
You have a wonderful, if you need anything, you can always text me. You have a wonderful week, powerful weekend coming up. Be cognizant of what it is you want to accomplish. Keep thinking it through. Don't only say yes to things that are in your line sight for mission accomplishment.
Exactly.
Obviously, you have to be courteous, like we always are, and say no in a nice way. Maybe sometime in the future, but we have to say no more than we say yes.
Absolutely. I think so too. And I'm learning that big time.
And we have to have more failures than successes in order to succeed. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, but
we have to fail our way to success, and we have to say no more often than we say yes. It's a confusing concept.
Yeah, but hey, I get it.
But if other people have done it, it must work. So let's do it. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.